chat. Perfect, so that we're able to share this with NOFA later on. And I will need to put my kids down for a nap in 15 minutes, but I can leave my browser open if people still want to keep talking after that. So I know that in my conversations with other certified operations in New Jersey, there's been like some in the weeds sort of questions that are like tiny little things. And I wonder if the certifiers might mind weighing in on them if I could ask them. And Al, if you think I'm doing a crappy moderation job, just hop in. But they include wondering what your processes are for requiring organic seed percentages to go up every year, whether paper pots are allowable by your operation. And I know that there's been a couple questions from some of us on strawberry plant acquisition. So I know that we've both done them bare root and done them from tissue culture before, not buying plugs, but then expected them to be, if they're planted in the fall, certifiable by the next growing season. So those are some of the in the weeds questions. So seed percentages, paper pots allowable, and I guess that would be a perennial tissue. Well, if you guys want to take it on.
Well, I guess I'll start if that's okay. Yeah, so you asked about seed percentages. Now, maybe I might want some more clarity, but if I'm not answering the question, just let me know. But the requirement for seed is you have to purchase organic seed unless it's not commercially available in the needed quantity, quality, or form. And so you have to check sources to support your use of untreated and non-GMO seed when organic is not commercially available. So there's really not a percentage requirement, and we're not really supposed to be requiring a percentage requirement because that would be going against the regulations. But we do look at, right, like if you're every year you keep only buying like 10% organic seed, and percentage is a little bit subjective too. You know, some people like, is it percent of different types of seed quantity? Is it percent of volume? Like, what does percent mean? So it's really, we can't really go off that a lot. But what we do like to see is that people are trying to increase their sourcing of organic seed and are actually legitimately looking at commercial availability, right? And documenting that. So, you know, sometimes we'll,
if we could, just because there were two large topics, if maybe Eric and Craig could ping in with their answer to that one in particular. So before we move on.
Sure. We're pretty much right there in line with Lauren. Yeah, we strictly follow the NOP standards with seed search documentation, things like that. But it is kind of a case by case where it's like, if we have an operation that every year it's just, you know, there's not even really solid attempts, then that becomes an issue. But we don't require a certain percentage right out the gate. But we do require this seed search documentation per the standards.
Agreed. We're on the same boat here. We don't require an increase in percentage per year either. We do what my certification colleagues do, just that the seed searches are adequate. You know, and quite frankly, if I may, all three are in the seed ability work. We certify enough farms. We have our fingers in enough scouts and seed companies, whether that's seeing them physically at a farming event or getting their catalogs or what have you. I don't want to say we know, because we certainly are not buying the seeds ourselves, but we definitely have an idea of what's out there. So, you know, if we do have some red flags, we'll work through it with an operation. But for the most part, you know, if the seed search is adequate and the seeds purchased are non-GMO, untreated, all the other stipulations, then you know, you can continue to use the non-organic version. Strawberries is a different topic.
If we could move on to the strawberry and like perennial stock question, that would be great. Do you want to start, Eric, since you're already unmuted?
Sure. So you're absolutely right. There is a lot of gray area when it comes to strawberries and things like that, actually more so than just basic other perennial crops too. But overall, the overarching rule, as we all know here, is that a perennial crop can be a non-organic, perennial crop can be considered organic after a year's worth of cultivation in a certified organic area under the organic system plan. There's some gray area there as to whether that's an exact 365 days, whether that's exact 12 months, or if it has to do with growing season. The growing season can range in a state like New Jersey from Cape May County, all the way up to Mahwah, and it very, very different time frame. So we'll take it, much like Craig said before, on a case-by-case basis, and saying if somebody has a perennial crop that meets the standard or the spirit of the standard, chances are it would be okay. The hard and firm answer to the question really needs to come in the form of a system plan or a plan that we could, and I assume that this would be the case for everybody here, that we could analyze and get back to the operation with exactly what they need to do.
Okay. All right. Next one on the strawberry question. Craig.
Sure, I'll jump in there. Yeah, we're pretty much right there along with Eric as well. The tricky part that we've come into is if non-organic, non-GMO strawberry plugs, and what was the growing medium that they came in. And that's been the tricky one, where if that cannot be confirmed, then we've kind of had to put our heads together with some operations and be like, well, can it be removed? Can whatever soil that's clinging to those roots be washed off, be removed before it goes into certified land? So that would be probably the biggest thing that we see from time to time with strawberries and perennials like that are coming from a non-organic source. But once again, it's one of those where it's like, I feel like everything in the certification world is we try to find a one size fits all solution, and that just doesn't work. It's really is just like case by case per operation. But yeah, to kind of piggyback on Eric, that's kind of where we are too, is it's the 1 year if it's a non-organic source, and then we really do look pretty hard at what was the growing medium that they came from.
All right, thank you. Lauren.
So, perennials. So I'd say we're somewhat similar to Baystate and PCO. But what we've also been hearing from the NLP is that growing medium, unless it has treatments in it, is not strictly prohibited. So yes, like perennial crops, perennial planting stock has to be organic unless it's not commercially available. We all know that there's not a whole lot of commercially available organic perennial stock out there, which is annoying, but it's the reality. And so we see this a lot with hemp, because we do a lot of hemp certification, and a lot of people do cloning of hemp, and so we'll source in planting stock for that. But so if the strawberries are bare root, there's really no concern there. If the strawberries have a treatment on the root, like a hormone, like some kind of rooting hormone or things like that are not approved, then it won't be allowed. But what the NLP is saying is that, and there's a guidance document, and I forget the specific number of the guidance document. Maybe Eric or Craig know off the top of their head, or I could always follow up with folks and send that to you. But the growing medium, as long as there's no prohibited treatments in it, it would not prohibit that untreated non-GMO perennial planting stock from being planted in your certified fields. And you do need to manage them for a year before you start marketing that planting stock as organic, but the crop could be marketed as organic within that year. Hopefully that makes sense.
That did make sense. Thank you. And Johan, did you have any questions too? The next one I was going to ask people to ping on was the paper pots, which don't apply to our operation, but there's a lot of operations that use paper pots around here.
Oh, that's fine. Roll with that.
Okay. Paper pots. What do you think about those? Go on, Eric.
Yeah, you got me first twice in a row here. Yes, is the answer. Assuming, of course, and I think Craig and Lauren would echo this as well. So hopefully, anyway, assuming, of course, that the pots themselves have been submitted as part of your system plan for review by whatever the materials specialists we have on staff here at Baystate, PCO, and NOFA New York. It's very, very important. I'll speak from a more macro level here to make sure that when you know, a certifier, even with whom you're not working with, says, you know, sure, paper pots are allowed, that's great, you just don't go out and you buy any type of paper pot you want. PCO specifically, but also NOFA New York and Baystate keep extremely thorough lists of even brand name products that have been reviewed and approved for use. So it's extremely important that your system plan includes what pots you're planning on buying, how they're going to be used, where they're coming from, and things like that. The short answer to the question, yes, is yes, of course. It's actually a really great thing. The elimination of plastic and plastic waste on farms is something that we do value, but we need to make sure that those pots weren't glued together with some sort of crazy concoction that would eventually contaminate your soil, put you back into a transitional period. So while the short answer is yes, the longer answer is just be wary and speak to your certifier.
All right, great. Craig or Lauren? Okay, Craig, go for it.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, saw his first.
Oh, sorry, I was going to let you go first, Lauren. Yeah, we're right there with Eric as well. We do allow them. I think we have 3 or 4 in our database, and I think 3 out of those 4 are allowed. But once again, it's contact us first to make sure A, we've reviewed it, B, if we have not, then we will, to make sure there's nothing prohibited, like a glue or anything like that. But yes, there are a few brands that we do allow.
All right, great. And Lauren?
Yep, echo that. I mean, we're following the regulations too, just like everyone else here. I think that is the issue is, you know, at one point we were just always allowing paper chain pots, and then there was a notice from the NOP a few years ago that was like, oh wait, these are not allowed because of XYZ. And then we had to pull some, and then there was changes to that. And so yes, it all comes down to, we just have to verify all the materials in all the ingredients to the regulations. I don't know off the top of my head which ones we have approved in our database, but it's a quick, easy lookup, just like it would be for all the folks here. So yeah, just give us a call and ask us what we have in our database, and then we can help you out.
Okay. All right, awesome. Thank you. So that's, you know,
Jess, if I may.
Yeah, please.
I think it's important with primarily the three certifiers who are on this call, to emphasize to folks that when we keep talking about the database, for the most part, I'll venture to say this, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, for the most part, they're very, very similar. Okay, so for example, we purchased the PCO database. We use our own. We have a material scientist on staff who reviews things for us. And then there are, you know, half a dozen other ones throughout the country that we also use, including the public ones, private ones from California Department of Ag, things like that. So what we, if I may speak for the global we here, what we as certifiers wish to do is to not scare people and say, oh, if it's not in the database, you're out of luck. PCO is an extremely robust material review program. We have a material review scientist on staff. NOFA New York also reviews materials for their clients. It's okay to look at something, to do your research and submit it to the certifier to make sure that it's okay. Because as Lauren just mentioned, these things change rather routinely. Okay, so it's if you find something you really, really want to use, get excited about it, that's great. Call us. Make sure that you're saying, you know, you're telling us what you're doing, because there are these databases out there that unfortunately the public doesn't have access to.
Yeah. Okay, great. Good point. Johan.
Jess, I know you need to go, so I just had a quick question for Lauren and Eric, because Craig mentioned this as we were closing out the last one, where PCO is either considering or about to take on the ROC certification, the regenerative organic certification. Does Baystate or NOFA New York, do you guys have any plans to also add that as part of your capabilities?
We do not. We pride ourselves on primarily focusing on things that are in fact a federal regulation or a federal law. We do the opt grass-fed, the 100% grass-fed certification for both handlers and farms. At this time today, as of Sunday afternoon, we do not plan to add any other programs at this time.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of in the same boat with Baystate at the moment. We also do organic plus trust grass-fed organic certification, which is both dairy and meat standard. We also have our own grass-fed organic meat standard. We are not doing ROC right now. We've partnered with the Regenerative Organic Project a little bit in that they basically work with some of our inspectors to help any farm that's certified by us who wants to be inspected to the Regenerative Organic Project, which is a much smaller, it's not as robust as ROC. But we also feel strongly that we want to really fight harder for the organic steel and make that more robust. I know that's challenging. It's one of the reasons things like ROC exist, but we aren't doing that at the moment. Now, we are also thinking about growth opportunities for the future. And so that is a potential, not necessarily, it's kind of an obvious next step, but you know, that's not really something we're doing as soon as PCO is. So.
Gotcha, thanks. So for what it's worth, since I still have the mic, appreciate the three of you all just showing up today. That goes a long way in terms of just, yeah.
Yeah, it does help a lot. And thank you for, like, you know, we didn't tell you that we were going to ask you to stay around.
Right.
We didn't know either.
On a Sunday.
I'm about to go and hopefully put my monsters to bed for a nap. But I made Al the host. So if the screen is still here when they're hopefully sleeping in 10 minutes, then great. It's still recording, so I'll be able to share it with NOFA New Jersey, and they can pop it on their website. But y'all take it away. And I just want to say, I know that Tomia had her virtual hand up with a question.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Hopefully. Yeah, anybody have any more questions? Some of you, I guess, are new. To me, you've not been certified yet. So anything from that point of view that hasn't been asked?
I do. Well, my one question about whether or not the three certifiers here did livestock was largely answered. A, does that include poultry? And my other question would be, are the parameters for certification the same for seed growers as they are for produce growers?
Lauren, you want to be first this time?
Sure. Those are really great questions, Tamaya. So for seed, just to address the seed question. So yes, the regulations are the same for seed growers. Sometimes seed growers will also have a handling scope. So depending on the level that you're processing your seed and marketing your seed and packets and how you're processing that post-harvest, you may need a handling scope. I will say having 2 scopes of certification is in your favor because that's extra cost share dollars that come to you. I don't know if anyone covered the cost share program, Al, but it's worth covering if we hadn't. So I think for seed, the regulations are the same. And so it's just, there's sometimes some extra post-harvest handling depending on the complexity of your seed processing. And we do certify livestock. We certify all livestock. NOFA New York has quite a strong expertise in livestock. You know, being that we started in New York, which has always been a very strong dairy state. We have a lot of dairy expertise, but we also have a lot of poultry expertise and all kinds of meat animals. So that's something that we're pretty quick and efficient with. And we have a dairy livestock department that handles all of the livestock files.
Thank you, Lauren. Craig, can you go ahead?
Yep. Yeah. PCO is the same take on seed growers as Lauren. Is you do have to follow those standards when it comes to organic seeds and things of that matter. Livestock, yes, absolutely. I think we have a farm that even certifies emus, so that would count as I think a type of poultry there. But yes, we do the whole gamut from crops, livestock, processing, handling. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Eric.
Yep, same thing. We actually have a ostrich farm, Craig. So we got you on that one. I think ostriches are bigger than emus. Yeah, to me, it's seeds are the same, except for the fact is that we like you a little bit much more because you're supplying organic seeds to all those produce farmers that need the organic seeds. So you're making our lives a little bit easier that way. But yes, we certify everything. We actually have one wild crop operation too, which is extraordinarily rare these days. A little lady who picks watercress out of a creek in her backyard. So we even have that scope going for us too, but we're all the same in that regard.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Johan, Alex, Kelly? I think some people had trouble getting connected. It wasn't real clear when we left that first meeting how to get connected. And I know I sent a link to some of you guys. So I think maybe some of the people that were on the original either are on the other meeting or they haven't figured it out yet.
I just want to say, Al, I thought your session was absolutely instrumental and just absolutely wonderful. I think maybe we need to put our heads together with your expertise and do another round of this. This Q&A is helpful. And I believe that, again, we should try and create another special program so that more farmers can participate at another one following up because this is very helpful as they move toward that May date. So I thank you for your efforts today. I think this is a very, very helpful to our community. Thank you again.
And Nagisa just joined us. Nagisa, do you have any specific questions for our three certifiers?
No, thank you. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No,
we're
you're not
doing
interrupting. We're
Yeah.
maybe
No,
running out of questions.
No, I'm done. I'm all set. So thank you very much. And if anybody needs any help, Devin is going to be all over it. Okay. All right. All right.
So any more questions, guys? Our certifiers have questions for us. Not that any of us are qualified to answer a general question, but we can try.
No, once again, I just want to say thank you for having all of us because this is extremely important and it's a little it's a little unusual, right, to have like one certifier have their winter conference and then invite other certifiers to join. So no, I think all in all, though, we all have the same mission in mind, and that is to take care of folks who need to be certified. So regardless of who you go with, I think we're all just happy to be here and to offer that service to people. So thank you, Al, for jumping in, and thank you again to NOFA.
Yeah, I was going to
say something real quick, Al.
Sure.
I just wanted to say, because it came up on the chat, someone direct chatted me in the last session, and they were like, oh, well, doesn't New Jersey Department of Ag care about organic anymore? Aren't they going to be involved in organic? And so I direct messaged her back. I regret not messaging the whole group now. And what I said was, I've got 7.5 years before I am eligible to go anywhere else. I'm not retiring anytime soon. And, the letter that went out, it said we're going to branch into education and outreach. Now, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like right now, but I'm getting excited because the more that I think about it, in actuality, the department's going to be in a better place right now, not certifying operations, to be able to disseminate technical information, to go to people's places and, God forbid, as a certifier, you cross that line and you give advice or consultation to overcome a barrier to, I can do that now. I can really get down in the weeds and help people, whether I certify them or not. So I'm pretty excited. We're not going anywhere. I will be available to any of the farmers during this transition period and afterwards. Just contact me and we'll talk.
Thank you, Eric. So Eric, I think we were giving you a chance for a last word.
I was just going to echo what Craig had said earlier about, calling us for help or what have you. It obviously works both ways because Tomaya just noticed that my email was spelled incorrectly. So thank you. What I'd like to say is I'm known as, and Eric Bremer down below here with an H. He'll tell you, he should be able to echo this. Maybe Al from 12 years ago, you might remember we worked together for a little while. Might be the sarcastic one of the group, if I may. So I'm going to go ahead and say to anybody who's left and still looking for a certifier, keep it local. PCO, NOFA New York, Baystate, we are the Mid-Atlantic Northeast local certifiers, and we would love to keep that in the family. We know that there are West Coast certifiers that have sent you guys letters. perhaps even some Midwest certifiers too. That's great. You are absolutely allowed to choose whomever you wish. I know the three of us would love to have you, and to keep it local like that is really the premise, in my opinion, of the organic industry. So to Eric Bremer's comment earlier, it's not that New Jersey doesn't care, or New Hampshire or Maryland or any of the state agencies who have lost their certifications. The models that are portrayed upon us by the USDA tend to be pretty strict. When you have an operation who can solely focus on organic certification, or whatever the heck PCO does with all the other stuff, that behooves you to be certified by those folks, because they can focus on that. Eric being pulled in 100 different directions was a very, very much a stress for him and for the operations in New Jersey. So we'd like to just, all three of us yet again, welcome whomever has the desire to maintain their certification with local certifiers in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic.
Thank you, Eric. Lauren, last word.
Yeah. Thanks, Eric and Craig, for being here. And thanks, Al, for putting this together. I just want to echo all that's being said. The thing is, like, yeah, we're all, we all would love to have more clients, but really, we're here because we want to further organic, right? We want to further organic certification. And I so agree. Keep it local. It is so important. It's important for food. It's important for everything. And it's what you've probably noticed today is that there's not a huge difference between NOFA New York, Baystate, and PCO. There's differences, of course, and we're going to offer things in different ways. But the interesting thing about organic certification is we are collaborative competitors, right? We collaborate all the time. We have a group of certifiers, certification agencies. We all communicate with each other and go to trainings together, and we always ask each other, how do you guys interpret the regulations? Let's all get in line together. Let's help each other out. I know, we always communicate with PCO and Baystate, and they're, we're always chatting with each other about how to really make this work. It's all because everybody's just so passionate about this work. So, so we really care about you folks, and I don't feel, I have no animosity towards any of these state departments that are leaving this business. I get it. And I think they're making the right decision by doing it, to be honest. And Eric, I'm so glad you said that, because now it's your wealth of knowledge with organic. I've always loved seeing your information and your knowledge on the ACA listserv. And now that you'll get to keep that in the community and do it on a consulting basis, like you said, and that is such a value and will continue to be a value to these farms and us. So thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Lauren. And a special thanks for looking cold the whole meeting. It's made the rest of us feel like we're in a warm situation. So
I was hunting this morning, so I had to sit in my car so I can go back out hunting soon.
Okay. All right. And is there no other comments? I'll pause for a minute. Otherwise, I'm going to end this meeting. It will be available for, it's being recorded. And hopefully I figure out how to turn the recording off. Yeah, and we had a really good turnout. I don't know if you guys checked it out. We had over 40 for that first part. I think there was some connection issues, but again, this will be recorded, and we're going to distribute your questionnaires to everybody. So that'll answer a lot of questions, I think, for people. So thank you, guys.
Just wonderful, Al. Wonderful.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.